Time now for the Sue-ellensanders Show on WPSL, the Talk of the Treasure Coast. Here's your host, Sue-ellensanders.
Welcome to the Sue-ellensanders Show, and I'm really excited to have with me here today someone new to me, although she's not new to the community. Diane Kimes is the executive director for Heathcote Botanical Gardens, and we've had a number of different staff and volunteers and officers from the Heathcote Botanical Gardens over the years, including Chris Adams, who seemed to be for a while the forever president of the board of directors there. But this is the first time I've had Diane on the show, even though you have been on board with Heathcote Botanical Gardens now for a year.
We celebrated my first year with 2 hurricanes under my belt, and I'm still around.
Yes,
so it's been a great ride, and Sue Ellen, thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to sharing with your audience some exciting things that are happening in Heathcote.
Well, it's been a while since we've gotten a report from Heathcote, and there's been some changes. And, first and foremost, were there changes because of the hurricanes?
We managed to come out a little unscathed. We did lose several trees.
A little unscathed. Is that
unscathed.
like a little bit pregnant?
Yeah. When I walked back on the campus on Monday morning, when we left Friday night, we weren't sure what we were going to find. But we walked back on campus Monday morning, and Heathcote House, the 1922 Dade County pine, was still standing. The grounds were a mess. We did lose a large, it's called a clusia, an autograph tree that's in the main lawn. That toppled over. It looked like it was part of a tornado. And then a couple of the other trees, we were able to upright some beautiful flowering trees. And just, as we say, Mother Nature's landscaping. And but we lost really one pot in the bonsai in the Japanese garden. A couple of them fell off the stanchions, and but all the other trees in the Smith Gallery, the James Smith bonsai collection, we had taken several of them off the stands and put them out of harm's way, and we were really virtually intact.
And that's when, especially when you think about what could have happened and what could have been. I remember back in 2004 with Hurricane Jean and Francis, there was so much damage to Heathcote that it was almost like you had to recreate from the start. Now, Diane, you're new to Heathcote, but you are not new to gardens or to the Treasure Coast.
No, I'm not. And I've been a lifelong lover of gardens, but really museums and anything cultural. And to me, Heathcote is a living museum. It is. We have wonderful galleries, and there's just it was really what I was drawn to, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do is to create a more informal learning environment at Heathcote. And whether it's the Pioneer House putting some interpretive signage about our history and the history of the citrus in our area, and or just the bonsai and where it came from and the terminology.
And by the way, I was taught by Heathcote how to correctly say bonsai, like bonsai. Sai.
Yes, bonsai. Yes.
Okay.
And many people think it's a Japanese art form, but it really started in China several thousand years ago.
And I love the way you describe Heathcote as a living museum, because there's a lot of different like people who are writers, paint with words, and people who are botanists, they create with living things like trees and bushes and other foliage, and that's just a really cool way of looking at Heathcote Botanical Gardens. Um, a little bit of history. I know we've talked about Heathcote quite a lot here on the show, and most everybody knows a little bit about it. But if you just want to, kind of, how long has Heathcote been around?
Well, Heathcote started, actually, it was a tropical nursery that moved down from Scarsdale, New York, and the name Heathcote was actually Heathcote Drive, where the nursery was up north. And the Crimmins, Molly and Jim Crimmins, were the first, owned the nursery. They came down to manage the nursery, and then it moved from Orange Avenue over to its current location, and they managed this beautiful tropical nursery for almost 30 years, and then rather than have it go the way of the wrecking ball, there were 5. We call them the Band of 5 women who literally saved the gardens and changed hearts, minds, and wallets to rescue Heathcote. And here we are 30 years later, and we're still intact, and it is just an incredible treasure in the midst of this urban environment is this wonderful green tropical space.
And they do call it a hidden treasure because where it is located on Savannah Road, just off US 1, actually between US 1 and Indian River Drive, if you didn't know it was there, you might not see it. You might drive by it every day, not directly by it, but down US 1 or down the drive, and not know that this living museum is there. And there are a lot of things that you offer at Heathcote, special events that we'll talk about, a few that are coming up. And then of course, since you have that marvelous location, you also do a lot of things like weddings. I know I have friends whose children have been married there. You really don't have to do a lot of decorating if you're being wed in the gardens there.
Oh, yeah. It's a lush tropical
Yeah.
space, and in fact, when people come, it's exactly what they're looking for, and it is. We've had the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've had back-to-back weddings, and it's just always exciting to see them, and and then we do other kinds of programs. We have a wide range of adult programming and children's education programs. We run a camp. We've got we do art programs. We've got a bamboo painting workshop in January, and we have bird watching and birding in the gardens, and how to propagate vegetables. And so we do a wide range of programs that are targeted to the audience. And surprisingly, there are a lot of young urban gardeners that are interested in organic gardening and vegetable gardening. And so we're looking at creating some programming in that arena.
And composting.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
And I have to admit, I do have a brown thumb. I can't really grow much, but I love to go to Heathcote's garden festival to get a variety of different things. And there are things that have been planted in my yard that my husband, who does have a green thumb, has been able to keep alive, including a triple ponytail palm. So it's pretty cool. It's right up at the front of the house. It's survived a number of different hurricanes as well. So that's coming up right around the corner. But you also have the Heathcote Garden of Lights that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to also remind people that USDA is now headquartered on your campus there. At
Well,
Heathcote.
we have
Or
a
you-
we
or
have a
they have
research.
there.
We have a research project.
Okay.
What's called a conservation biocontrol strategy to
Gotcha.
to eliminate the psyllid beetle.
So it's a partnership.
It's a partnership.
Okay.
Yeah, we're allowing them space, but they've been longtime partners. We have a wonderful citrus grove. We have 16 species of citrus on the campus, right next to the we have an 1870s replica of a old cracker pioneer house, and the wood had come from Adams Ranch. The Adams family has been very involved with Heathcote over the years, and so we have this replica of this old pioneer house, and then adjacent to that is our citrus grove. And so we've had a long time relationship with USDA, and they came to us this past spring to do a conservation biocontrol program to test a theory about using natural predators, lady beetles, lacewings, a mosquito, or excuse me, a wasp called a tamarixia, which, say that a few times. But
no, I'll let you say it.
But the idea is that you create this environment where the natural predators for our urban gardens eat this psyllid beetle before it spreads to other citrus trees. And so we're just at the early stages, but we're going to be educating our community and our audiences about the important role that our insects play in our backyard, and that can be destroyed by the pesticides that we use. So we are a very low and no pesticide garden.
But naturally occurring, yes. And USDA has the Master Gardener program.
That's actually run through the University of Florida, the extension services. There's one in every county.
Yeah.
And in fact, we've got some Master Gardener, some new candidates that are coming in and will be working at Heathcote. So we work very closely with Kate O'Neill and Kate Rotundo over there, the Urban Master Gardener.
Yeah, Kate Rotundo is pretty new on board now, but she's my daughter's old soccer coach.
Oh.
So we have a long history, and then her mom and dad were friends of mine, and her dad was Coach Wayne Cross, and we do the Run for the Coach every year in honor of her dad, Wayne Cross. So she's just such a cool lady, and it's
she's
great
a new board member of Heathcote.
Oh, she is.
Yes,
she
we're so
is
excited.
a worker. Oh gosh, she's got such a strong work ethic. You'll be really blessed. So anyhow, there's a lot to be seen. People can join the Heathcote Botanical Gardens as a member.
Yep, we are part of a much larger national organization. So when you become a member of Heathcote, you have access to over 300 gardens and museums across the country. We're part of the American Horticultural Society.
And that is so cool. So when you're visiting Atlanta or D.C. or someplace else that has a botanical garden, you can get into that garden reciprocally.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Just in Florida, there are almost 20 gardens. We're reciprocal members with Naples, with Bach Tower, Lou Garden. So it's a wonderful. We say it's the best gift that keeps on giving.
It does.
So if you have those hard to find family members that you don't know what to get, this is a wonderful gift of nature.
It is. It's just in time for the holiday season. It's something that you can write off your list, and then if you want to, if you're like me and you like to give something that's kind of representative of the gift that you're giving, that's a gift certificate or a membership, you could go and pick up something at the gift shop.
Right.
And
but the gift of membership is also
a big gift.
It's a nice gift also for you because you get a wonderful tax deduction.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. And we're getting ready to go up to D.C. So I have been a member some years. I have been a member, and some years I have not. And there's different levels of memberships, and there's business memberships as well as family memberships. And the great thing about Heathcote is you have a very well-developed website that people can go to get all the information that they need on membership there.
Absolutely.
And that website address is?
It's Heathcote Botanical Gardens heathcote.org. So
easy to remember.
yes, but just make sure you put the S on the end of gardens. But
Okay.
you should find it. If you do a search of Heathcote and Gardens, you'll
It'll come right up.
yeah. We could fix that if your membership has lapsed, Sue Ellen.
Yes. It has lapsed. I know it has. And you also have Facebook. And a lot of good information on Facebook, especially when it comes to the different special events that are coming up. Because when I talk about special events, I would put it in two categories of special events: the annual or semi-annual type of special events, and then you have the different monthly workshops and events and educational events and summer camps and things of that nature that are things that you can check up on a regular basis.
And now that we're getting into the fall season, we do a program Thursday mornings at 11, and it's really walking with the curator. And Miriam Charles is a longtime staff member or volunteer. Her mother, Gloria Moore, was actually one of the founding five. And she does a wonderful, if it's not her, it's one of our docents that takes our audiences and visitors through the garden. So if you're looking for a day that you want some education, any Thursday morning at 11, we always have a 15 or 20-minute tour of a particular area in the garden.
So if you do have family that are coming into town for the holidays, this would be something that would be great to take them to check off your list of showing them what real Florida is like, because you got a variety of natural habitat, as well as you said, the bonsai, and everything is labeled. And whether you go there on Thursdays at 11 and have somebody tour you through, or whether you just stop by on your own. And Heathcote is also open. Do you have special fall hours as well? They're different than your summer hours, are they not?
We begin our Sunday. In fact, we just kicked it off this past weekend. So we open on Sundays from 12 to 4. And Saturdays from 10 to 4, and then Tuesdays through Fridays, 9 to 5. And I really just touched on the bonsai. What's unique about Heathcote is we have the largest public assemblage of tropical bonsai in the country by one bonsai master, Jim Smith, who actually coined the usage of using tropical trees as bonsai. So he established that back in the early 50s when he first moved down to Vero. And if you haven't seen the collection, it just is extraordinary. And come for the green space, but you'll be surprised with how incredible this collection is.
So there's a lot every day to look at Heathcote, and especially as the weather is turning cooler. Yeah. And it's more pleasant. But even when it's warm and humid, there's so much cover from the foliage at Heathcote that it's really, even in the worst of the summer, it's very pleasant there.
And that's what is so special about the gardens, is because they do have a large assemblage of tropical flowering plants and trees. So you don't think of, there's all year long there are things blooming. It's different, it looks different, but you'll always see flowering plants when you walk through the gardens.
So now that we've established that the gardens are a great place to visit anytime, let's talk about some specific times. And coming up right around the corner from now, the weekend before Thanksgiving actually is... Am I correct? It's the weekend before Thanksgiving, or at?
We kick off Garden of Lights, or we
have the Garden Festival. We were going to talk about briefly, and that's right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
right?
We do two garden festivals a year, and we do one in the spring and one in the fall. And the Fall Garden Fest is the 30th annual. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's free and open to the community, and we have vendors from all over the state of Florida. So if if you got beat up by the hurricane, it's a great opportunity to come out and buy some plants and trees and orchids, and there's all kinds of vendors, and it'll just be a great weekend.
And you do actually have the different carts that you can get, but if you come at a busy time, you might have to wait in the parking lot and get somebody else's cart to pull through. Or I've seen people with kids who come through with the little red wagons, and they load them up with the plants and make the kids walk.
It's great fun, and it really is. It's a great way to enjoy the gardens, and lots of people wait all year long just to come to the plant sale. And again, it's one of the days that we do open the gates to the community. And so this year we have more vendors than we had last year, and it should be a great fundraiser for the gardens.
Well, Chris Adams used to say that the best time to come to the Garden Festival is first thing for the greatest selection,
right,
and then last thing for the best buys.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Exactly. And then the next weekend, the fun just keeps on going here. We have the 3rd annual Garden of Lights. And it's a great way to see the gardens in a whole new light. We have
literally a whole new light, right?
And it was the brainchild of Tom and Judy Salmon, and we have all volunteers that have created this amazing, I call it just a kaleidoscope of color. And visit our website to see some of these garden vignettes that were created. And it's not anything canned. It's just beautiful. So we have some new. We have a couple new features this year. You're going to see a gator in the pond. You'll see a snake
some
in
surprises. Yes.
So come on out, and it kicks off Thanksgiving weekend, Fridays and Saturday nights, and it runs through the end of December.
So you have a long period of time where you can come to the Garden of Lights, and this is something that you can come and walk through, and it's every evening, assuming after dark.
Well, it's just the Fridays and Saturday nights.
Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was
and
one
that's
of those,
plenty.
And that's plenty.
Yeah.
That's plenty. And so we're always looking for volunteers. Any companies. It's a great way to come out and volunteer as an organization. We do get some high school organizations, and
I have lots of teenage students that are looking for volunteer hours, so I'll have to send them your way.
Send them over. We have refreshments. We do s'mores. We have entertainment, and it's hard to be in a bad mood when you're walking through this beautiful gardens that are transformed into a winter wonderland.
So if there is an upside to the whole change with the daylight savings time, it's that during the Garden of Lights you have more hours to enjoy the lights and the contrast and the dark. So Friday and Saturday nights starting at what time?
5:30. The gates open a little bit after 5, and we run through 9 o'clock. So tickets are available online. There's always a discount if you're a member. So tickets for members are $5. For adults, they're $8, and then children under 6 are free.
And you can purchase them online.
You can purchase them online. You can purchase them at the gift shop or at the gate that evening. We do if there's a little inclement weather, we do run the gardens. If it's just sprinkling, it's okay.
Just a light drizzle, but no lightning and thunder. No. You don't need that type of natural garden of light.
But we've got some great entertainment, great sponsors that help make this event a major success. And there's so many people that have walked through Garden of Lights and said, I can't believe I've lived here for this long and I've never been to the gardens. So we're hoping it will. It's a great opportunity for all of our residents to learn about Heathcote.
Well, and if you think that it's a lot of work to hang Christmas lights at your house. I mean, just think about the gardens, about the number of volunteers and volunteer hours that are put.
And the committee, we call them the Illuminations Committee, and they begin in February. They take January off, and they're back at it and creating new vignettes. Like I said, we've got some new things this year, but they are just amazing. And a shout out to those volunteers because all these guests that come, they just are amazed.
I bet your electric bill goes way up, so it's a good thing you have sponsors.
Well, but it's all LED lighting, so that's the key. And
welcome to the new world. Yes,
I don't know whether the we would be able to do it if it weren't for LEDs.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the Heathcote's Garden of Lights starts the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So you can get your tickets online, or you can get tickets at the door or at the gift shop. And Heathcote Botanical Gardens, the treasure of the Treasure Coast, they call it. Diane Kimes has been my guest. She is the executive director of Heathcote. Thank you so much for joining us today.
So, Ellen, thank you so much for the opportunity to share all of our wonderful work that we're doing.
And in the new year, we'll have to have you come back and talk about some other things that Heathcote will be doing in the new year. Meanwhile, the Garden of Lights begins the weekend after Thanksgiving, and you can catch it all on Savannah Road between US 1 and Indian River Drive. You're listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. Back in a little bit with more.
The views expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but you're encouraged to like and share them on Facebook. It's time for the Sue Ellen Sanders Show with your host, Sue Ellen Sanders.
Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, I'm talking to some dancing folks now, and Bonnie Spector is the executive director of South Florida Dance Company, and Amanda Irwin is also here with us, and she is the head ballet instructor at South Florida Dance Company. And South Florida Dance Company's been around for how many years?
It's been around for 10 years now. This is our 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, wow. So that's why you remember, because it happens to be 10 years. 10 years. Are we that old?
Yes, I guess so.
I guess. And it's an awesome dance company where your kids can come and be a part of it, take dance instruction, and also be a part of different community events that you a lot of non-profit events that you partner with. But one of the biggest things that you do every year is a Christmas Carol, the dance show, and you do it on stage at the Sunrise Theater. And we're going to be talking about that and talking about how you can get tickets for that and how exciting that is. And we'll talk about the year that Bonnie tried to have her twins on stage at Christmas Carol, and it didn't exactly work out, but she had them several hours later, so it was okay.
Yes.
But first, about the studio itself. You're over on Prima Vista.
Yes. We have a pre-professional training program for dancers, and we teach ages basically 2 to 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of have a more career focus about our studio, college career focus. We try to give all of the kids the same experience, whether they're, pursuing a professional career in the arts or not.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
And you also never know when that dance instruction might come in handy many years later when you're in a different walk of life.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 years of giving dance instruction.
Yes.
And Bonnie and Amanda are dancers themselves.
Yes, me a very long time ago.
Well,
Yes.
And Bonnie's husband, Brian, who's also the dance instructor at Port St. Lucie High School. Is he still there?
Yes.
Am I dating myself?
He's in his 19th or 20th
Oh,
year
good
this year.
Lord.
Yes. So.
And my son was one of his students at Port St. Lucie High School, and I remember fondly, and in the studio too. Yeah, very fondly. Some interesting dance productions, and I remember people saying to my son, "Why do you want to take dance classes?" And he said, "Are you kidding? To see all of these good-looking girls dancing around me, it's the best thing ever." And you have, and more men and young men are stepping forward and being part of a dance company, and that's a good thing.
We have probably 8 or 9, I think it's 8 high school age male dancers in the show, and I think 3 or 4 elementary age male dancers, which is a pretty decent number for the area. It's usually very hard to get, boys to take dance, especially in high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I do think that because of my husband's position at Port St. Lucie High, that we do, the boys just feel comfortable, and then they see that
and
it's
they
fun and
encourage
it's
them.
very much a sport in its own. It takes a real athlete to be able to dance.
It does. For both men and women, young men and women, it does take an athlete. It's no longer just a bunch of twirling and wearing tutus and looking pretty for the little girls. It's a lot of work. It is. And it's awesome to see how the students develop, not just in their dance, but in other parts of their life.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So, and I know Amanda and Bonnie are looking at each other. They're probably thinking of particular students, and especially you can change their life. You can change a young lady or a young man's life, giving them confidence, making them the belle, or what's the opposite of belle? The bow of the ball at dances, because when you know how to dance, you got the world by the storm.
Well, often we'll have students that, come to us just because they enjoy dance, not because they're thinking of pursuing a career or going to college for it or becoming an editor of a dance magazine, any of those things. They just come for the simple enjoyment. Then once they're in and they've worked so hard and they see, they get to have these opportunities to do these performances and they have that stage time performing for a real audience, the community, is when oftentimes they fall in love with it and they realize that this is their passion and they want to start to pursue, a future in it, whether a career or
And
anything.
if it is something that you want to pursue as a career, having that the kids who want to do musical theater, having the ability to dance and dance well, makes you stand out above the others, because it gives you that added something. You could be someone who just follows along and can carry the dance step, or you can be someone who is a star in the dance field, as well as be able to be a triple threat and sing and act and dance and do everything.
And we do really preach that to our students that want to be in musical theater. They have a dream on being on Broadway, so they've gone, they've been training vocally for many years, and they've been taking acting lessons and working on those things, and then dance always seems like that thing that they're like, oh, well, I can carry a step, I can do that. But now you go to these auditions and they want a dancer. Before they listen to you sing or before they want to hear your monologue, they want to see you at a ballet bar and see that you've trained physically in dance.
Well,
So,
even at Port
very
St.
important.
Lucie High, when they do the St. Lucie County musical, that takes place every summer. One of the first ways to vet those kids from all over the county is to see their ability to pick up dance steps quickly, and
Because you either trained or you didn't.
yeah,
So, and it's most often the first wave.
it is. And,
see.
and you have some students who've been very successful, who've gone on to college and performing careers. I'm thinking of Brandon Block and Christy Mills, and
Brandon Block will be debuting his first Broadway show this year in New York. It's been set back a little bit, but
it has. I knew that
yes.
that it what do they call it? Test marketed in California that I know.
Yes.
When they test
they,
run, what is it called?
Yes, it's my brain is leaving me, but it kind of premiered there,
yes,
if you will. And it was like a test run to see if it was going to work, and it did, and they were able to get the funding and everything to have it run in New York. And I think right now the only thing on hold is waiting for a theater to open.
That's awesome.
Once the theater becomes available, then it'll go. So
that's awesome. So there are a lot of kids who have gone on to do some wonderful things, and you kind of probably feel like proud mommies to them all. But you actually have this show that's coming up that is a community performance, and you have more than just your dance students that play a part in it, correct?
Yes. So A Christmas Carol, we do 2 full-length contemporary ballets a year. We do A Christmas Carol, and then every spring the other ballet alternates. But every winter is A Christmas Carol. This is the 6th year for it. We do audition every September. We open the auditions up to the community, so it's not just South Florida Dance Company students that are able to participate. They do not have to be a dancer with our company to be able to be in the performance. And this year, it looks like we have a cast of about 70. 2 of the cast members are professionals. So my husband being one, he plays the part of Ebenezer Scrooge. And then a gentleman, Lou Lancieri.
So typeset, right?
Yes, he makes the perfect. I think he takes his role too seriously sometimes, and it's become who he is.
Typecast, yes.
And then Lou Lancieri, he is our Ghost of Christmas Future, which is his part is almost a special effect in a way, as he's walking on stilts with a full Reaper costume on. It was a custom-made costume, very heavy costume.
Yeah.
So we need a professional to be able to.
I guess to stand on stilts and dance on stilts and walk on stilts and wear the costume. So, but the kids that are in the show range in age from what to what?
The age is about, I would say, 7 to 19. We cast based mostly on ballet level and training, especially with the younger ones, that they know a certain amount of technique and terminology to make the choreography. Or for them memorizing the choreography.
Otherwise,
easier.
70 kids would be.
Yes, we actually used to have a younger age in there, and it was a little difficult for them to really be able to keep up. We only have, from audition to show, 11 rehearsals, and they only take place on Saturdays, which is pretty impressive for the age range that we have. There's 3 professional choreographers working the show. Amanda Irwin is one. Tasha Patterson Shirley and her sister Tara Anstonson, which are both instructors with our company. They helped write the show from the beginning for the 6 years. So over the 6 years, the show has evolved. Parts have come and go. Things have changed. But now we have a pretty solid storyline.
And, of course, we know the basic storyline of the Christmas Carol, but to bring it to life in dance.
And, it's very difficult. So it's the classic story of Ebenezer Scrooge. And everyone,
and the
has
3
read
ghosts
the story or has watched
that
it.
come to visit him. And
so his old business partner, Jacob Marley, comes to visit him as a ghost, which, scares him. And he foretells the visit of 3 ghosts. Basically, that if Scrooge does not change his ways, his evil deeds, he will reap what he sows.
And that last ghost shows him what things look like in the future.
So he has the ghost of past that shows him his childhood and shows him where he made his first and probably most potent choice, that shaped his life forever. And then the ghost of Christmas present that shows him where he is now and the choices that he's made in the past. And the ghost of Christmas future that shows him where he will be if he doesn't change.
And it's a timeless story, and it's a story that, you walk out of, whether you've seen the dance version or you watch the old movie, and you always feel like, oh gosh, it's not too late to change my ways.
It's not. Well, and that's the thing, and that's part of the reason, 6 years ago when we decided to do a winter production, we wanted to do something a little different than the Nutcracker. The Nutcracker is a beautiful show, and it's also a classic. But we wanted to reach the audience and the community at a different level. And what better way to tell the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, which is such a relatable story.
It is.
We can all look back at a moment in time where we've made a choice whether it was a good choice or a bad choice, and we can think about that moment and how it literally did pave the path for our future forever. Just that one choice. But what's nice about the story of Ebenezer Scrooge is that he's given a second chance.
And he's able to take advantage of it. And so it's empowering to the people who come and see the show, because they know that
it's a
there's
story
hope.
of hope. Yes, it's a story of hope. It's a story of second chances. And it really reminds us all, what's most important around the holiday season and really in life in general is the spirit of giving and how important love and relationships are just in everyday life, but obviously around the holidays.
And those themes, the spirit of giving and love and relationships, the importance, those are things that are going to be great for you to come and see and be a part of and then take with you into the new year.
Yes.
So you start 2018, really 2018. I still sometimes write 2010, like on my checks and stuff. I'm like so far behind the times.
What year are we? What day are we?
Yes. One time I wrote 1990 something, so lost it completely there. But to start 2018 with that hope and with the warm and fuzzy feeling that you get. So this is the first year there's going to be 2 performances of A Christmas Carol. And what days and times are they?
So the first show is Saturday, December 2nd at 7 o'clock. And the next show is a Sunday matinee, which is the newly added show. We added the matinee this year, Sunday, December 3rd at 3 o'clock.
And that's awesome, especially if you have younger children that you don't want to be at an evening thing, that it would be better for them to see. A dance show is, you don't have to understand all the words because there are no words. What you're understanding, what you're seeing is you're relating to the music and the costume and the dancing and the attitude. And it's something that is, whether you study dance or whether you're 5 years old or 55 years old.
Well, it's actually very difficult to tell a story through dance, a story that the audience can connect with and
Well,
understand.
it's hard for you. It's easy for us in the audience.
Well, it's easy if we do our job right.
Oh, okay.
So that's the thing. So, like I said, it's easy if we do our job right. So I think that's one of the things we pride ourselves on, and what we teach from a very young age at the studio is not just about going through the motions, but feeling the emotion when you dance. And what story are you telling? So what character are you supposed to be? Who are you? What are you doing right now? Are you just going through the motions on stage, or are you telling us a story? And if you are, think about what that story is. And we work on this in classes. I mean, we start this at 5 years old in our classes. A very simple little dance step. You're going to be a little girl in a cupcake costume, so you have to be a cupcake. So what would a cupcake do? Oh, it's falling, it's melting, it's whatever. Teaching them how to be a character from the very beginning. So when you have no words, and there's no words to the music, and nobody is speaking, to tell a story and get the audience to feel emotion is a very special thing. And with this show in particular, it really is a roller coaster of emotions. And I think of there's a particular section in the show, and it's just an intermission as the red curtain closes, and it is when the ghost of past is visiting Ebenezer Scrooge, and he's showing him that he chose money over his love, Isabel. And as the curtain is closing, it shows that Scrooge has the veil where he was promised to marry Isabel. He has the veil in his hand, and he's got a money bag in the other hand. And as the curtain is closing, the ghost of past rips the veil out of his hand, and he's left with just the money bag, and it closes. And it's such a powerful moment because it's so simple. All she does is take the veil, but you can see in his face that he's just left with the money, and he made that choice. And then you come out into the, an intermission, and you see the audience, and people are crying. They're actually crying because they feel for him in that moment. That one moment, and we talked about that before, how we all make a choice somewhere, whether good or bad. That one choice changed the rest of his life.
And, it sounds like, I know you're married to the man who plays Ebenezer Scrooge, but it sounds like you have a very personal connection to the character as well.
Well, I think when you've been working a show for 6 years and for such a long time, and you've gotten so deep into the story, and you know, Tasha and Tara, who couldn't be here today, but you know, Tasha especially took years to find the right music for everything, because music is really what makes you feel when you're watching something. So working so closely on a show and working on the character development, you know, when you're writing a show, you do take, it almost becomes personal.
Yeah, kind of like method acting.
Yes. Yes,
So,
exactly.
so what people will be seeing will be, they'll be hearing the music, which has been paired with the different dances, the dances, the motion, the emotion of the dancers, and the costumes.
Yes.
So it's a combination of all of
And
those
special
things.
effects
And the
and-
special effects.
We have special effects. It snows on the stage.
How
So that's
cool
usually
is
a
that?
surprise.
Yeah.
Yes. Our little ones that are in the school scene, in the past scene, they have a very special entrance, and I don't want to ruin that, but that's also a cute little special effect with them. Yeah, there's quite a few moments.
So
Really special lighting and
So you have 70 children in the production,
yes.
but you know, I've seen A Christmas Carol performed with like 10 characters. So who are what type of characters, or what type of do they play, like trees and furniture? And
well, we really went the spiritual route with the show. So
okay. I know I went to the
there's a
first year
town
and I
scene.
don't remember.
Yes.
That's terrible.
So,
Well, it's
and
probably
we'll have to get you
changed a
tickets
lot.
so you can come this
Yeah.
year. But the town scene is just, you know, an opening town scene with men and women, and everybody's going about their hustle and
Okay.
bustle with the day, and there's children, and
Yeah.
Ebenezer Scrooge, that's when you're first introduced to him, is in the town scene. And then Jacob Marley, the ghost, he comes with his own spirits that are with him, because it's a very spiritual story, honestly. And then the ghost of Christmas past and present and also future, they all have their own spirit
Groups.
So
chorus.
the spirit,
chorus,
yes, yeah.
spirit chorus. And in the wedding scene, she has her bridesmaids and flower girls, and so, and that just goes with writing the story. We had to say, okay, well, this is really a student production, and this is almost like a ballet recital for them, if you will, through the year. So we have to make sure that we have enough parts to showcase them, that they have something to perform in, but it also has to tell the story. So how can we elaborate on the story? It's a very
And
simple
still
story.
include the roles, and
Yes.
still include different levels of the roles, because obviously the kids that are 7 years old probably don't have the same talents as the kids that are 15 or
Right, because they're at a
older,
different
yeah.
training level.
yeah.
So yes, that's the interesting part, is whenever we start to, and even the show that we're writing right now, which we can't announce yet.
Oh,
for the
thanks a
spring.
lot.
Yeah, we'll have to come back for that. But
So,
we're writing.
yeah.
We get a little hung up on that, you know, because we have to say, oh wait, we have no parts for this age group, so we have to
Yeah.
go back. Where can we fit this age group?
Yeah.
And
Put the age group in. In the years that you've been coming and talking about the Christmas Carol, and I remember you coming here the first year and talking about, and I think you weren't quite sure how it was all going to go down, how popular it was going to be that first year. If people were going to come to the show.
Yes, and we were shocked at the turnout that we had. And every year we're just really blown away by the community support that we have for the show. I think it's because it is something different, and because the story is so relatable and it is told very well, how we do it, that it's just become a tradition at this point for many families in the community.
And is your oldest daughter a part of it now? She's old enough
She
to be
is.
a part of it. Yeah.
She is. She's in her third year this year.
Yeah.
She'll be in the town scene.
Yeah. So that's
She's a town
that's
child.
awesome.
She's very excited.
And then I think I mentioned at the beginning of the show that Bonnie did try to have her twins on stage.
Almost 4 years
Yes.
ago, yes.
Yeah.
I was not allowed to work that show.
Yes.
So I couldn't be backstage. I prefer to be backstage. But I was in the audience, and I was most definitely in labor during that show. But my husband, that was the first year he played Ebenezer Scrooge. It used to be a student in the past. So the instructors working, the choreographers, were very nervous. Well, what happens if you go into labor? You have to have the twins. And my answer was very simple. The show has to go on. He'll have to come when the show's over.
Yes.
So, because you can't
So
have
you have to hold on.
you can't have a Christmas Carol without Ebenezer Scrooge.
No,
so.
and it was very kind
Yes.
of you to wait to go into labor until several hours after the show
Yes, they were
close.
born the next morning.
Yes. Lucky for you, there wasn't a matinee performance that year.
Or the show still would have gone on. I
Yes.
just wouldn't have been able to be there.
Yeah.
So.
But it's awesome to go and see. You know, it's fun to go to a ballet recital, whether you know the kids that are performing or not. But to come to a show like this that has a message, that is a special event in itself. That
Yes. And it's also not just ballet. There's contemporary, modern, there's jazz. So we've kind of tried to weave other styles in because it is important. Now dance is evolving. And it's great to help with telling the story because, you know, like we talked about before, dance, you know, music has emotion with it, you know. So when you have like the pick up and go of the music, it's nice to pair that with the dancing.
And then also that gives opportunities to different kids who have whose specialty is different types of dance as well.
Exactly.
Because not everybody is doing ballet anymore, and especially, you know, you see it especially I think with the young men too, but you see it with all different ages. And it will be a special show to walk in and see it and see the kids being a part of it and the costumes. Now, we just have a few more minutes in the show, but I do want to touch on the costumes because when you're enjoying something musically, dancically, what would you say? Technically. But you also, the costumes play a big part of it too.
Yes. So in many of the leads and the ghosts and in Scrooge, there was a lot of research done into, you know, time period in the town. People costumes, like those weren't costumes that we could just go in a costume catalog and buy. So we had to do a lot of research looking into all kinds of crazy avenues. I think for townspeople, I even went into special Renaissance shops online to find like the right timepieces and.
But how much fun to think about just planning and putting it together. I know it's a lot of work for you. I know it's a tremendous amount of work.
Yes.
But fun too, and exciting to see the kids and to see that the people who come to the show. Like I said, they're not just the parents of the kids that are performing. They're people in the community who want to see.
We have a huge community turnout. We do every year, and it's very exciting. It's very special to see that.
So the dates again are December 2nd.
Yes, December 2nd at 7 o'clock and December 3rd at 3 o'clock. Both performances are at the historic Sunrise Theater in downtown Fort Pierce. The tickets are available for purchase through their website at www.sunrisetheater.com, and then also the box office at 772-461-4775.
So you can go online, or you can go, you can call and get the tickets and then pick them up at will call. South Florida Dance Company is presenting A Christmas Carol, and this is the first year there'll be 2 performances, so you'll have a great opportunity to on December 2nd and December 3rd. If you want more information, you can always check out South Florida Dance Company's website or Facebook page and get information on the dance company, or go to Sunrise Theater website to purchase tickets for A Christmas Carol. Bonnie and Amanda have been my guests today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on stage on December 2nd and 3rd.
The Sue-Ellensanders Show is the property of WPSL. Any retransmission or rebroadcast without express written consent of WPSL is strictly prohibited unless you're sharing a YouTube archive on Facebook. How about that? Sue-Ellensanders Show. Special features WPSL.